Welcome back to the Cosmic Awakening podcast. I am Makāula Nakae, a lifelong experiencer and ET contactee since 1990. I have a wealth of insights and stories to share from decades of lived experiences spanning spiritual, interdimensional, and extraterrestrial contacts. Cosmic Awakening Part 3, 2014's The First Contact, Beyond C5. Chapter 3, First Contact. Episode 15, Close Encounter. In late May of 2013, I found myself in Seattle once again, much like the previous year. The city was transitioning into summer, marked by pleasantly mild weather with fewer rainy or overcast days. With the sun rising early and setting just before 10 p.m., daylight stretched longer than the shorter winter days. From the lanai of Capitol Hill, my usual abode, I enjoyed a captivating view of the downtown skyline, the iconic Seattle Space Needle, Queen Anne Hill to the north of the Space Needle, and the serene expanse of Lake Union. On clear, cloudless days like that one, the vista extended from downtown in the south to Puget Sound in the west, with the majestic Olympic Mountains and Lake Union gracing the northern horizon. As I gazed out towards the distant Olympic Mountains, their snow-capped peaks gradually receding, my attention was drawn towards Queen Anne, where I noticed two stars shimmering faintly golden. Initially puzzled, one of the stars began moving southward towards the Space Needle. Could it be an airplane? I pondered, only to witness its sudden disappearance from the sky without a trace. With no clouds in sight, there was no logical explanation for its abrupt vanishing act. A few days later, while reclining on my bed in a serene meditation, images began to form vividly behind my closed eyelids. Two UFOs appeared side by side, each adorned with a cross-shaped glowing projection, and far radiant spheres between the projection-shaped fuselages. The spheres emitted hues of blue and magenta, a sight unlike any I had seen before. It struck me that whenever a UFO was in close proximity while I lay down, these images would manifest behind my closed eyelids, almost as if signaling their presence. This phenomenon was akin to seeing with clarity despite not wearing glasses, as the visuals were directly processed in my brain's visual cortex, bypassing the physical eye's lenses and ensuring sharp vision. Reflecting on previous experiences, I recalled a similar occurrence on New Year's Eve the year before, where a UFO image appeared distinctly behind my eyelids, coinciding with a sighting amidst the fireworks display. Considering the timing of these sightings upon my arrival in Seattle, I couldn't help but feel a sense of connection, and perhaps even care from these otherworldly visitors. I ventured to Mount Shasta during my previous summer stay. Where I encountered a UFO period, I also passed beneath a UFO near Portland and witnessed an invisible being descending into a grove of trees in the backyard of a Sammamish residence. While I had observed UFOs numerous times during nocturnal hours, I never anticipated encountering the same phenomena and extraterrestrial contacts during my current stay. The images of the two UFOs appearing behind my closed eyelids marked the beginning of numerous subsequent UFO sightings and encounters with extraterrestrial intelligence. On June 13, 2013, during my visit to a residence in Newport Woods, Bellevue, the hostess suggested we visit a nearby premium golf club with stunning views recently established in the area. Bellevue, home to Newport Woods and the New Castle Golf Club, resembles a Beverly Hills-style city cluster and rapidly evolves as a Microsoft hub. When I first arrived in Seattle in 1993, Bellevue was a sparsely populated upper-middle-class residential zone with few skyscrapers in the downtown area. However, with the rise of Microsoft, the region experienced exponential growth, and today, development continues to expand, encompassing everything from high-rise condos to upscale shopping centers. True to its name, the New Castle Golf Club boasts castle-like, grand, and opulent facilities. From the elevated vantage point of the golf course, one can behold the downtown Seattle skyline and Lake Washington, nestled between the Seattle and Bellevue sides. Later that evening, the hostess suggested returning to the golf club to search for UFOs again. She asked if her husband wished to accompany us, but he expressed disinterest in UFOs, so we set off together. The husband seemed unaware of how to respond if he were to encounter a UFO. Finding UFOs isn't as simple as one might hope. But I had a peculiar sense of self-assurance at that moment, as if we were destined to spot one. Since arriving in Seattle, I have been observing UFOs from the lanai of my Capitol Hill condo. Given my previous sightings and an optimistic feeling that perhaps by calling out to them, they might appear, I mentally urged the UFOs to draw nearer as we drove along, vividly recalling the images of the 2 UFOs I had seen in my mind's eye on Capitol Hill. Around 10 p.m., we arrived at the golf club. The course had already closed for the day, with only a few cars remaining in the parking lot, likely belonging to either restaurant patrons or staff. We strolled along the golf track we had traversed earlier in the day, marveling at the nighttime panorama. Given the proximity of the international airport, planes arriving in Seattle typically pass over downtown. However, on this occasion, an aircraft approached from the south, deviating significantly from the usual flight path of passenger planes. While there is a bowing test airfield between the international airport and downtown, this plane veered much farther inland. Initially, the aircraft exhibited typical red and white flashing lights, resembling a standard aircraft. However, as it approached Newcastle, it altered its course abruptly, veering directly towards us instead of executing the expected curve. The lights transitioned into a solitary white glow, drawing nearer until it hovered at a short distance from our location, remaining motionless. Ordinarily, as an aircraft passes overhead, you would expect to hear the distinct sound of engines or propellers. Yet, in this instance, there was complete silence, no indication of any propulsion mechanism. What followed was an eerie phenomenon. The light seemed to fluctuate in size, oscillating between expanding and contracting, as if the source were moving forward and backward. Despite the proximity, there was no accompanying noise, no roaring engines or whirring blades, nothing to suggest any conventional aircraft activity. Eventually, it drew near, retreated momentarily, then altered its trajectory and turned southward. As we observed the spectacle together, pondering whether we had just witnessed a UFO, the flying object reappeared, shining as brightly as before, and approached us again. The only distinction between the first and second encounters was the color of the light. Initially, it emitted a dazzling pure white glow, whereas the second time, it emitted a slightly yellowish, almost champagne golden hue. While marveling at the second encounter, a security patrol car approached us, informing us that the golf course was closed and advising us to depart. As the UFO drew close again, withdrew, vanished, and reappeared behind us, it seemed to be wary of the security guards patrolling the area. As we returned to our parked car, the enigmatic flying object altered its course, heading south and disappearing from view behind the golf club building. Even as we drove home, a luminous formation resembling 2 airplanes traversed the sky from Seattle towards the east, seemingly preceding us toward our destination. Upon our return home, the wife recounted her UFO sighting to her husband, whose eyes widened in astonishment. However, there was no further discussion about the UFO sighting, and the husband's demeanor suggested that he had heard about it, but was not particularly interested, quickly shifting his focus to other matters. Such responses are not uncommon, with disinterest often leading individuals to dismiss UFO sightings as inconsequential and swiftly move on. My time in Seattle during this period marked a promising beginning, with UFO sightings occurring immediately. Eager to witness more such phenomena, I contemplated joining Dr. Stephen Greer's ET Contact Program, CE5, to deepen my understanding of profound contact practices. While awaiting the bus to return to Seattle after I visited Newport Hill, I noticed an unusual movement in the sky and peculiar cloud formations. Despite an overall clear sky with low-lying clouds, several clouds of unusual and suspicious shapes dotted the horizon. Of particular interest was a thicker cloud with an open space in the middle resembling a vertical line, alongside numerous horizontally aligned serpent-shaped clouds reminiscent of dragon deities. To be continued. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Explore the archive. Cosmic Awakening, Part 1, 1991. Peru, Journey into the Unknown Sacred Valley of the Incas. Part 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact. The World of ET Contacts, Beyond C5. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute hit of real-life experiences, perfect for your daily plunge into consciousness exploration. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below, Share your thoughts on today's exploration.